Hello and welcome back to another episode of Math with Sohn. Today we got kind of an easier one, adding, subtracting, and multiplying, as well as a little bit of simplifying, but we're going to avoid dividing polynomials for the time being, because dividing polynomials, they require their own video. Actually two videos probably. All right, but adding and subtracting and multiplying is pretty easy. Adding is by far the easiest. If there's a plus sign in between, all you have to do is scan and look for your like terms. We got 2x squared, we got 4x squared. They combine, because that's what pluses do, to make 6x squared. We got positive 2x here and negative 2x there. They actually combine to make 0x, so I'm not going to, they kind of like cancel. Okay. And then we got negative 7 and negative 7. They make negative 14. And then this last one over here, this lonely negative x to the third, it doesn't have any friends. So it's off by itself. Now this is technically correct. You may see your teachers expect you to write it like this in descending order, where you start with your biggest exponent, x to the third, then you go x squared, then you go down to x if there was one, and then to 14. So this is technically standard form, and this is a sloppy form, the one that we had above it. If you have a minus in between, however, you should distribute the negative, thus subtracting every single one of these. So if we distribute the negative, we're going to change it to a plus, and this is going to be a positive 5x, a positive 3x to the fourth, and a negative 13 after we distribute that negative, essentially negative 1. If you want to, you can rewrite this part over here. You do not have to. I'm doing it for your viewing benefit. All right, now we can combine like terms. What are the like terms? We got a x to the fourth and an x to the fourth. I'm going to start with the biggest exponents this time. 1 and 3 makes 4x to the fourth. And then we have an x squared, but we do not have an x squared over here, so I'm just going to drop down that 3x squared. We have a negative 2x and a positive 5x. They make positive 3x. And then we have negative 3 and negative 13. They make negative 20. There is all she wrote. Okay? We got a few examples of multiplying. Multiplying is a little harder, but not by much. You first have to recognize that when we're multiplying things like this, you multiply the numbers. We're going to multiply 3 and 3 together to get 9. Then we're going to multiply x squared, not multiply x squared. We're going to add the exponents. When we multiply the x squared and the x to the 7th, we add the 2 and the 7 to make x to the 9th. So we added this 2 and that 7. We're going to do the same thing with the y's. Y to the 4th and y to the 5th, when multiplied, add 4 and 5 together to get 9 again. Okay? It's a lot of 9s on that problem. Number 4, this one is similar. We're going to still multiply our numbers and add the exponents, but we do have to distribute. So 4 times 2 makes negative 8. X squared and x to the 7th, add the exponents, x to the 9th. Y to the 5th is, there's no other y's on here, but that doesn't mean they cancel. They just kind of hang out. Okay, so it's technically like 0 and 5 make 5 when you add them. 4 and 12 when multiplied together is 48. And then 2 and 1 make x to the third. And again, no z's, but that doesn't matter. We keep writing it, and we write z to the 5th. And last but not least, we got 4 and negative 3. We make negative 12. 2 and 7 makes x to the 9th. Okay? And for this one, you may see some teachers want you to have the cumulative exponent be first. So 9 and 4 is like 14. And then 3 and 5 is 8. And then the 9, you might see that. You might also see some people that want like the biggest x to the 9ths in front. I personally don't have a preference. And a lot of people also don't in that case. All right. Next one, this one is going to be a foiling problem, but it's going to be a slightly more annoying foiling problem than you're familiar with, because we have an x squared. Well, x squared times x is x to the third, and x squared times negative 4 is negative 4x squared. And then we can do the negative 2x times both. Negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared, and negative 2x times negative 4 is positive 8x. Combine any like terms that we have, which there might be fewer, but they still happen. We got 4x squared, we got 2x squared. They're both negative, so that makes negative 6x squared with the 8x here. You do not need to factor out an x. All right, you can, but like you don't have to. This next one, you may be tempted to FOIL first, but you cannot. You also may be tempted to distribute the squared, but you cannot. You cannot distribute the squared if there is a minus or a plus sign in between. Over here on number 8, there is not a minus and plus sign in between. I could distribute the negative. Here, I have to FOIL. So this is really x plus 1, and then x minus 4, and then another x minus 4. Now, it does not matter which order you decide to FOIL this, but I would recommend foiling the thing that looks the easiest to you, and for some reason, the thing that looks the easiest to me is the x minus 4s, but you could also FOIL the x plus 1 and the x minus 4. I think this part looks easier because I feel like if you multiply the same thing by itself, maybe, I don't know, a pattern emerges. So I'm going to FOIL this part. That's going to be x squared minus 4x, and then negative 4x, and then positive 16, which combines to negative 8x and positive 16. And then I'm going to multiply by the x plus 1. Okay? So after I get that, now I can multiply by the x plus 1. A lot of people think that they need to multiply the x plus 1 by like both of these. That's not the play. You just do multiply two of them together and then multiply it by the third thing. So I'm multiplying by the x plus 1. We get x to the third minus 8x squared plus 16. And then I'm going to multiply by 1, which is why I wanted to save it, because I'm multiplying by 1. How easy is that? 1x squared minus 8x and then plus 16. Combine any like terms that we have, and we got a few of them. We got a mistake as well. There's a x missing there. X times 16 is 16x. Negative 8x squared and positive 1x squared makes negative 7x squared. And then 16x and negative 8x makes positive 8x. And then the plus 16 had no friend, so it just drops down. There's our answer. Okay. The next problems are a little different. They are dividing, but I would recognize it more as a simplifying problem because it's not full-on polynomial division. This is like the lead up to that. All right. So here, if it's a fraction, 2 over 16, simplify it, or divide if it happens to divide. 2 over 16 is 1 over 8. Then we have x to the third, y to the fourth, x to the seventh, y to the fifth. From here, you have a three x's on the top and 7 of them on the bottom. What you're going to end up doing is subtracting these two and ending up giving it to the bigger side. All right, in this case, x to the seventh is bigger, and it's bigger by a factor of 4. So this is going to be x to the fourth on the bottom of the fraction. And then this is going to be y to the first on the bottom of the fraction because 4 is not as big as 5. And if you subtracted 4 from 5, you would end up with a 1. And then the only thing we have left over on the top of the fraction was this 1 that was here to begin with. The next problem we have right here is we have a negative 3x to the fifth, a to the third, and it's squared. So we are going to distribute the squared this time because there's no plus or minus in between these terms. So this is going to be a negative 3 squared. And then if it's squared, it's really written twice. And if it's written twice, you would have 2 of these x to the fifths, which makes x to the 10th. So in this case, you multiply your exponents, and that would be a to the sixth. Okay? So multiplying, add your exponents, but if it's raised to a power, you would multiply the exponents. And this is still over 36, x to the seventh, a to the negative fifth. Okay? Negative 3 squared is 9, x to the 10th, a to the sixth, over 36, x to the seventh, a to the negative fifth. Let's simplify the 9 over 36, and that makes 1 over 4. And then we have 10 x's on the top and 3 on the bottom. That makes x to the third. Then we have this a to the negative power. Anything raised to the negative power, automatically, wherever it is, jumps ship and moves either to the top or the bottom. So this a to the negative fifth is going to go to the top. And it's when it goes to the top, it's going to make it positive 5. And we already had 6 of them up there. So if we combine the 5 and the 6, you get a to the 11th for that one. Okay? That's going to do it for this one. Until next time, everybody, stay positive, and I will see y'all later. Bye.